If I were to ask you, would you like to avoid making a $50,000 mistake? Your obvious answer would be, yeah, I'd like to avoid that. Well, if you're moving to Richmond from out of state, there are $25,000, $50,000, even $100,000 potential mistakes that are not obvious at all. In this video, I'm gonna walk you through the 6 types of homes in RVA that I wouldn't buy. We'll talk about why things aren't always as they appear, why some properties are really bad investments, sneaky flood zones that don't look like flood zones, and year-built related issues you have to pay attention to. I'm Taylor Jefferson, a former pharmacist turned realtor, and my team and I have helped hundreds of families relocate to Richmond from literally all over the world. And I have seen firsthand the expensive mistakes that can happen when buyers don't know what to watch out for here in Richmond. And before I get into the 6 types, I want to explain some very Richmond-specific things that you probably aren't used to if you're moving here from outside of the area. First, the waterways. Obviously, we've got the James River, which does run through the city and cuts RVA into a northern half and southern half. No surprise, there are flood zones all around the James, but what is surprising is there are sneaky flood zones scattered all throughout the suburbs of Chesterfield and Henrico. In April of 24, Henrico County updated their flood insurance maps, drawing new boundaries for flood insurance requirements, and the city of Richmond recently moved 180 properties into new flood zones as well. Second, Richmond is a historic city, and between the city and the surrounding suburbs, you'll be looking at a year-built range spanning over a century, with each decade of construction offering a different flavor of style, floor plan, and most importantly, year-built related cons to be on the lookout for. Richmond has some environmental factors that create their own unique issues and also directly impact construction style. With our higher water table, you won't find many basement homes here, and unlike states like Florida, we don't build homes on a slab very often. What you will find over and over again are homes with crawl spaces, and that is where home inspections go to die. Sprinkle in Virginia's heat and humidity, and things like mold and termites are also incredibly common. And just to keep things fun, most of our soil here is expansive red clay, which can destroy foundations. And lastly, the explosive growth of communities with HOAs in the western suburbs, and especially lately, lots of creative housing types designed to maximize density, but in reality, they're just maximizing builders' profits. Some of them work great for very specific buyers, but many of them create unexpected long-term cost. Just knowing that these 4 factors are in the mix will help you know what to be on the lookout for while viewing homes here. So now that you know that, we're gonna get into number 6 on my list for homes that I wouldn't buy. So let's visit the neighborhood of John Ralph Square in Short Pump. And at first glance, I bet you're scratching your head wondering, what bad thing am I gonna say about this beautiful pocket community? Sitting at number 6 on my list of house types to avoid is exactly what you see in front of you. Every single one of these properties is actually recognized by the county as a condo. And there are several of these communities around RVA where you will find detached single-family home-style condos. Let me tell you why this property made my list to avoid. Last year, I helped some original owners sell their condo here, and I warned them it might not be fast or easy because these condos routinely get missed on portal searches for clients. Plenty of buyers might be searching for a $750,000 single-family home, but how many buyers are searching for a $750,000 condo, especially here in RVA? This diminished buyer pool means longer marketing times and slower appreciation compared to true single-family homes. Using those clients as an example, they paid $585,000 back in 2018, and we sold it for $760,000 7 years later, which is approximately 30% total appreciation over that 7-year period. Over the exact same time frame, the average single-family home in Short Pump appreciated roughly 52%. Had they spent the same amount of money on a true single-family home back then, that home would have been worth roughly $890,000 when they went to sell it. So they lost out on $130,000 of appreciation. So the reason you'd buy here might be if you wanted that lower maintenance lifestyle. Well, my personal recommendation would be buy the true single-family home that works for you and pay a company to maintain it. Odds are you can do it for cheaper than the monthly HOA fee, and I promise you're gonna come out well ahead with this plan. While we're on the topic of HOAs, that brings me to number 5 on my list of house types to avoid purchasing, and that is low-maintenance condos or townhomes that are located in underfunded HOAs. There are tons of these communities scattered across the suburbs of Chesterfield and Henrico County, and on paper they sound great. Let the HOA maintain your siding, your roof, and your landscaping, and all you have to do is stroke a monthly check. But if the HOA is underfunded, you can be looking at non-stop yearly HOA fee increases, or worst case, a large special assessment where the HOA hits you with a huge surprise bill to pad their reserve account or pay for a project they couldn't afford. For a less extreme example of this, over in West Broad Village, The HOA fee used to be $215 per month back in 2021, and today it sits at over $300 a month. And as a homeowner over there, you're stuck paying it. And I can promise you a few years from now, that fee will be even higher. Unfortunately, it's impossible to tell with certainty if an HOA is underfunded or not, but there are some red flags to look out for. First, what's the size of the community? The smaller the community, the higher shared cost amongst the owners. Secondly, how old is it? Does it have older, higher maintenance siding, which increases the HOA's expenses? Is the HOA responsible for roof repair and replacement? My clients are always thrilled whenever the HOA covers the roof, and I feel the exact opposite. Since they were all built around a similar time frame, when one roof needs replacing, more than likely they all do. And replacing 50+ roofs at the same time can quickly drain a reserve account. Despite Virginia being a buyer beware state, there is at least one law that protects you as a buyer, and that is the 3-day right of rescission rule related to communities with HOAs. In Virginia, this seller has to provide you with an HOA resale disclosure packet. In that packet will be every rule, regulation, bylaw, meeting minutes, and document related to the HOA, including current financials for the HOA itself. Once you receive that packet, you have a 3-day window in which you can back out of the contract for any reason whatsoever, with a full refund of your deposit. It is your biggest get-out-of-jail-free card, and every now and then our clients need to use it. So make sure you actually review those documents and ask any questions that you have so that you can get a full picture as to the health of that HOA. Those last two and these next 4 house types to avoid purchasing are meant to protect you from buying the wrong home, which can be a very costly mistake to make. But what about buying the right home in the wrong location? That can be equally as expensive, but it's usually something you only discover after it's too late. So many buyers make the mistake of focusing on the house first and then the area second. But truly it should be the other way around. And in my relocation guide, I go over exactly how to avoid buying the right house in the wrong location and how to pick areas of best fit for you. So be sure to download your free copy today. All of our Florida relocation clients know this, and that's because you don't forget lessons taught by pain. But for so many of our Midwest and West Coast relocation clients, they haven't experienced this pain before, and they don't know to expect it here. So number 4 on my list of homes to avoid are homes located within flood zones. Now, when you're by a large body of water like the James River or the Swift Creek Reservoir, flood zones are an obvious thought. When you see a large body of water, you go, oh yeah, I should probably check flood zones. But all throughout the suburbs, you'll find flood zones and homes that require flood insurance on them, and there isn't a large body of water anywhere in sight. If you aren't looking and checking, it is entirely possible to be caught off guard by this. And once you're under contract on a home, there isn't a contingency that lets you just back out because you didn't know it was in a flood zone. You're stuck. Plus, if you're getting a loan and the structure of the home is actually in the flood zone, then you will be forced by your lender to get flood insurance whether you want it or not. The average yearly premium for flood insurance here in Richmond is $750. And yeah, that's not that bad, but I promise you, that is only going to go up. Thanks to states like Florida and California, where insurance companies are losing their butts, they're increasing premiums across the board to offset these more expensive states. There are also some lots where only the backyard is in a flood zone and the structure of the home itself isn't. In that case, you're not required to get flood insurance, but you should think long and hard before submitting an offer, even in this instance, because flood zone maps can change. Last year in the city of Richmond alone, 180 properties that weren't in flood zones before are in flood zones now. And look, if it's not something you're thinking about, it's an easy mistake to make, myself included. Very early in our career, our second listing ever was in a flood zone and we didn't know it. There wasn't any body of water anywhere close by, but it blew up our closing because the buyer didn't qualify for the loan with the added cost of the flood insurance. Pain is a great teacher, and I've never forgotten to check flood zones ever since. So make sure that you or your agent always checks before submitting an offer on any home. Just like how a hidden flood zone can surprise you in the worst way, so can this next one. Like I said earlier, crawl spaces are where home inspections go to die, and the vast majority of scary and expensive findings happen in the crawl space. Partly because this is often the most neglected area in any home, and small problems like a slow water leak can turn into much larger problems when left untreated. This is why I always go into a crawl space before I submit an offer on any home. I want to make sure we're not about to go under contract on the wrong home and then have the home inspection blow up the deal. And nothing blows up a deal quite like a home with foundation problems, and that is house type number 3 on my list to avoid. To give you some insight into Virginia soil, the vast majority of it is red clay, which is a very expansive type of soil. When it dries, it shrinks and cracks, and when overly saturated, it expands. This is why it's called shrink-swell soil, and it can harm foundations that don't have footers dug deep enough to adequately deal with the soil movement. This can happen anywhere around Richmond, so it's always important to stay on the lookout for this. But there are a few hot spots to mention. I have seen foundation problems a ton within the neighborhoods of Brandermill, Woodlake, and Ashbrook in Chesterfield County, as well as within Tuckahoe Village in southern Short Pump. In fact, a few years back, we had a listing in Tuckahoe Village that required over $60,000 of remedial foundation work. That one was the absolute most expensive I've ever encountered. Stable foundations had to reinforce practically the entire foundation. This was the most extreme example I've had, but routinely I see estimates from stable foundations in the realm of $6,000 to $15,000 depending on the scope of work. A couple years ago, had a home in Mechanicsville where the chimney was sinking and pulling away from the home, and that cost about $12,000 to fix. You don't want an expensive surprise to be discovered during the home inspection because there's no guarantee the seller will agree to fix it. Yes, I can get you out of the contract, but we might waste money on an inspection on a home that you don't end up purchasing. And worse, what if you miss out on the perfect home because we were under contract on the wrong one? Other agents tell me all the time they can't believe I go into crawl spaces and that I should stay in my lane because that's the inspector's job. Well, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. I would much rather avoid going under contract on the wrong home, wasting both time and money, so I'm gonna keep doing me. And during showings, while my clients are going ooh and ah, I'm looking for problems and for reasons not to buy that house. And I promise you, you will never wonder what I'm thinking, for better or worse. I'm here to protect you, to guide you and educate you, not sell you on a home. If that sounds like the type of help that you want, save my cell and reach out to me when you're ready to get started. And if there has been one product on the market that I've been both incredibly negative and incredibly vocal about, it's number 2 on the list of what to avoid purchasing. And it is unfortunately the biggest trend in new construction right now and for the foreseeable future. Look at this. From the outside, it looks like your standard 4-level townhome, but it's not. These are actually 2-1-2 stacked condos with a lower level and an upper level unit, and I absolutely hate them. More on why in a minute. These stacked condos are the hottest trend in new construction, and that it's because it's on the same footprint as a townhome, builders can sell twice as many units, maximizing their profits while simultaneously offering a lower cost product. Win-win for the builder, but lose-lose for the consumer in my opinion. I have shown a ton of these to clients, both brand new and resale, and I'm happy to say I haven't sold a single one. Here's why they don't sell. The ground level unit is competing for space with the garages in the rear. So the first floor of the lower level feels cramped and almost like a small apartment. And that's where the living space is located. Another con for the lower level is that the bedrooms are always upstairs, which eliminates a large buyer pool for ground floor condos, the older demographic who want to avoid stairs. Now, the upper level unit experiences none of those cons, and the layouts and floor plans I've been through are truly excellent. I will give them that. But you have to go up 2.5 flights of stairs just to enter your condo. Imagine every grocery trip, every time you come or go, having to do that. Your legs are gonna look great, but I promise you're gonna get real tired of it real quick. I've watched these communities pop up all around, and each and every time they are super slow to sell out. And that's even with builders throwing incentive after incentive at buyers. If you own one and decide to sell, you'll likely have competition from your own neighbors doing the same. And it becomes a race to the bottom because there are minimal differences between each unit. Due to the lack of buyer demand in this construction style, they will also appreciate at a much slower rate than a townhome or a single family home. So, my recommendation, let some other fool buy it. And instead, you try to find a resale townhome in the area for a similar price. Future you will thank me. Before I get to my number 1 house type to avoid purchasing, I first want to tell you something you might not have ever realized. The single most valuable piece of information related to purchasing real estate is only 4 digits long, and that is the year the home was built. Let me explain. If the home was built in the 2010s, you need to check to see if the HVACs are original, and if they are, you should budget $9,000 to $11,000 per system to replace. If it's from the early 2000s, then the same thing goes for the roof. Fortunately, roofs are not nearly as expensive here as they are in some other states. For RVA, expect $9,000 to $15,000 depending on the size of the roof. And you won't be required to replace it every 10 years by your insurance company. That comment was for our Florida viewers. If the home is from the 1980s through the mid-90s, then you need to watch out for 2 things. The first being high maintenance hardboard siding, and the second being faulty polybutylene piping. Repiping an entire home can cost $3,000 to $7,000 depending on the number of levels, and residing a home starts right around $15,000 but can drastically increase from there based on size and siding product. Between 1965 to 1973, Be on the lookout for aluminum wire. And for the really old homes from 1940 and before, it's entirely possible to find original knob and tube wiring. Rewiring a home is a ton of work and money, often costing well over $12,000. Always pay attention to what decade the home is from. It'll tell you what to look out for. And that brings me to the #1 type of house to avoid that I wouldn't buy in Richmond. The city truly has some charming streets and provides a lifestyle that no other area around RVA can quite match. Places like the Fan, the Museum District, and Carytown have the perfect blend of residential and commercial, creating the walkable, energetic vibe that the city is known for. But you pay dearly for it. The average blended price in the Fan and Museum District currently sits at $821,000, with an average price per square foot of over $350. This is expensive real estate, at least as it relates to RVA, and I've seen this play out so many times. Buyers get tired of competing on homes and losing to all-cash offers in this area, or due to the higher prices, they can't really afford what they actually want. And so they decide they want to buy the fixer-upper, the worst house on the best block. And in my opinion, the historic city fixer-upper is the absolute #1 home to avoid purchasing here in Richmond. There are homes in these areas that are triple digits in age, and they've seen some things. Even the well-maintained, updated version of these 100-year-old homes can be an expensive home ownership experience. I've helped a bunch of clients sell their older historic home in the city, and I always ask, why the move? Typically, it's 2 reasons. The first, they had kids and are finally ready to accept defeat and move to the suburbs. I welcome that. The second, they are so tired of nonstop home maintenance repairs and upkeep, and they are tired of owning their historic home. And those are on the good homes. The fixer-upper that's loaded with deferred maintenance and really fun surprises inside the walls isn't for you unless you're flush with cash and an experienced historic home renovator. Once you open up these 100-year-old walls, trust me, your initial renovation budget gets thrown out the window. Knob and tube wiring, hidden damage from old water leaks or from termites, and bringing older construction back up to code can ruin a budget before you even get to add anything pretty into the house. Honestly, by the time all is said and done, you probably would have spent less money and definitely less effort just buying the better maintained, more move-in ready home in the city. So, as you can see, Richmond has its fair share of surprises and not the fun kind. Condos disguised as single-family homes, hidden flood zones you wouldn't know to look for, 100-year-old money pits, and all the fun things you can find in a crawlspace. But if you know where to look for the issues and what to watch out for, you can skip the pain of buying the wrong home. And like I said, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, and so is subscribing to this channel. I have some excellent, informative videos coming up for you each and every week. As always, thank you for being here with me. I'll see you next time. Bye.